Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Wise Guys Sports Betting Show. My name is Ross Benjamin. Yours isn't. Thank God for you, because I had Denver last night. It wasn't pretty. Anyway, and I like every Tuesday, I am joined by my trusted colleagues, Mr. Jesse Schule and Mr. Sean Higgs. All three of us of PicksandParlays.net. And you're watching Picks and Parlays YouTube channel right now as we speak. And folks, before we get going, if you could just give us a like on this video, it would go a long way in making the big kahuna. Craig Trapped, very happy. So if you could do that for us, then also if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, don't know what you're waiting for, just hit that subscribe button because it's absolutely free. Anyway, Sean, how are you?
I am doing all right. No complaints. Baseball's a nice last week, 58%. So I'm happy about that. NBA, nice little run, 11-4 at 73% in the NBA. So I'm happy about NBA, happy about baseball. Hockey, whatever. I'll give hockey a break for a little bit here. Well, maybe wait till some game twos here on the ice to get into the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, so sometimes you just got to ride the hot hand in the particular sport you're hot at, And I've been doing that with the NBA. And unfortunately, I just mentioned last night, I beat myself up a little for Denver, but still on a 15-4, 27-8, and 38-17 run in the NBA. Jesse, I know that you were aboard with me. I hate to drag you down with me, but you did have Denver as well. But you also have number one handicapper in 2024, as I recall, at PicksandParlays.net.
Not number one, top five though, Ross. Not too far off the top spot. I plan on getting there. But I don't think you can really beat yourself up about losing with Denver. At the end of the day, the whole world thought Denver was going to even that series. I don't think anybody could have predicted what happened last night. I think that's one where you walk away thinking, how could I possibly have predicted this? I actually had the Knicks last night as my big play, and perhaps that's one where, maybe I was laying too many points and I could really question my decision making there. But you can't win them all. 14-3 with my last 17 NBA top plays. A lot of guys would kill for a streak like that. But when you've lost two in a row from 14-1, and
yeah,
a lot of people aren't going to be happy with me this morning. But my other two picks did win. 16-6 baseball run. It's important to be heating up at the ballpark because we're getting close to summer, and that's going to be the main draw pretty soon.
And for those of you who play soccer out there, Mr. Schule had Crystal Palace yesterday, plus 130 on the money line, and they crushed Manchester United 4-0. And Sean, did you have action on that game? I probably not.
Everybody in the chat at Midday Money had that.
Midday Money just came in to take it, and there was a whole discussion because I'm like, all right, I'm not getting him at that. I think I had him at a plus 118 or something in some Asian odd system with like laying a quarter goal, but it won. I was like, you know what? I said, I don't know what the heck I'm doing here in soccer. I'm putting $75 across the board on these things. So,
all right. So
whatever.
we're talking.
I'm happy.
We're talking Major League Baseball today, and I'll be looking at the Mets and Cardinals game. And let me get this right because we flip things around a little. Sean is going to be looking at the Astros and the Yankees, and Jesse, the Cincinnati Reds and Arizona Diamondbacks game. So three very competitive games if you look at the money lines on these contests. Not to say we're all going to use the money line because I know I'm using a total, and I also know, well, three of us are using totals, as a matter of fact. So, let's get right to it. Let's start with Mr. Higgs. Sean, the Yankees and the Astros develop into a pretty good rivalry over the years, but it's lost a little bit of its luster this year when you look at the Astros record. But this looks like an extremely good starting pitching matchup with Justin Verlander going for the Astros. And Luis Gil, and I like this kid, Sean. We talked about him earlier. He started to correct his control problems over his last two starts. He's got electric stuff, and the guy strikes out a lot of hitters. And coming off a good outing against the Baltimore Orioles, what's your take here?
Yeah. Well, I like Louis Gill. I mean, I don't know why the Yanks couldn't bring him up last year. He was a prospect for him. He's here now, so we'll take it. And this game, yeah, let's talk about. They started the season, and the Yanks swept them, getting to the bullpen. But that was the kind of a different Stros team because we saw them start terrible, couldn't hit, bullpen's bad. They've improved obviously a little bit down the road, which you'd expect with that kind of uh, pedigree and stuff here. But I'm going to look at the total here and go under. Now, and the Yanks are favored here, and I do like the Yanks, right? They've, a couple wins under their belt. They've won 3 in a row. Houston dropped 2 to Seattle here. But I got Verlander who, man, I got to tell you, I was fading him right out of the gate because I saw my son watched him play here in Sugar Land. He looked terrible. I'm like, boy, it's over. Father Time has won. Not so much, man. The guy's pitching to like a 210 batting average against. Gill at home has been really good for the Yanks with like a 1 ERA or 1 batting average against as well. I'm going to go under here. Yanks always are a station-to-station, home run or nothing team. Verlander has abused these guys. I don't care if the guy's 21, 31, 41, or 51. Stanton, Judge, Rizzo, Torres, they're just all swing and miss guys. I mean, Soto's your guy carrying the team. That's why the Yanks are hot. Him and Volpe Cabrera were hot. They're not doing much hitting wise. Play it safe going to here. As Jesse said, the weather gets hot, the balls start flying. Well, so far in a month plus of baseball, nearly 59% of games have gone under. The pitchers have the edge. A lot of strikeouts. Give me the under here. It's not August baseball here. This is still early May. I'm going under. The bats are still not raking for either of these teams, regardless of the Yankees' record. They were winning with pitching. Under the total for me.
Yeah, I was going to say their record is where it is, not because of their hitting, like you alluded to, but because of their pitching. So bullpen's been solid. The Astros bullpen got off to a terrible start, which is uncharacteristic for them, right? Sean? And now they seem to steadied a little bit. And Luis Gil, again, Jesse, if his control is on, he's very tough. And if it's not, he's got the ability to bail himself out with strikeouts. But I think the Yankees want to see what they saw, a lot of what they saw in the last outing against Baltimore. He only struck out 5 guys. Baltimore's one of the toughest teams to strike out. In terms of at-bat or strikeouts to at-bat ratio, I think they're the 3rd best in Major League Baseball. So I wouldn't get too carried away with that low strikeout count. But what I would say is that he went 6 innings in that start, and they need more of that from him because early on he was walking a lot of hitters and struggled to make it beyond 5. But your take here, Jess.
Well, and you got the number 1 bullpen in baseball behind him, so the Yankees should be in good shape here. But I don't blame Sean for being skeptical about a 41-year-old Justin Verlander. After all, you look at guys like Madison Bumgarner and Dallas Keuchel, Cy Young contenders that when Father Time hit them, it hit him hard. And they went from hero to zero pretty quick. I will say, and I know Ross really loves it when I bring this kind of stuff up, I don't think Dallas Keuchel and Madison Bumgarner had the same supplements that Verlander must be using at the age of 41. What do you think, Sean?
Listen, those 2 guys fell off a cliff, and I thought it was coming with him. It hasn't, though. I mean, not bad in the start. 6-4, 7 innings. I mean, so far, so good. But, we've seen this kind of like aging pitchers down here in Houston. I don't know. Maybe it's the humidity. We saw Pettit and Roy Oswalt and Roger Clemens come down here and go like 18-4, put up some great numbers in their 40s as well. So, I don't know. I'm waiting for some of that to transpire to my water here outside of Houston.
They do play indoors in Houston, right? The last I checked. But anyway, they do play indoors in Houston.
Yeah,
right?
but I'm just saying, I don't know. It's still the weather. Maybe
we're talking about the lifestyle in general.
Yeah, who knows what it is? I don't know what it is. I gotta find that fountain of youth though, for sure.
Dallas Keuchel, and who else did you mention?
Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah.
I mean, Keuchel pitched in Houston most of his career, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Keuchel was not. I wouldn't consider him a power pitcher. He was more of a finesse pitcher. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And he did have the 1 year where he won the Cy Young. Now, Madison Bumgarner, on the other hand, he didn't go all. When he went, yes, he did go all at once, but then he hung on like an old fighter. And he went like last 4 or 5 of his years of his career, he was not the same pitcher, nowhere near the same pitcher. And Verlander right now hasn't hit that rock bottom status yet. So, hey, this guy, I know he's won more than one Cy Young, if I'm not correct. If I am correct, I should say. So I don't like the comparison as much as you do, but your point is well taken, Jesse. All right, Jesse, you're going to be looking at the Reds and the Diamondbacks game be played in Cincinnati, 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be Frankie Montas, the former Oakland A, going for the Reds, and Zach Gallen, one of my favorite pitchers in baseball, going for the Arizona Diamondbacks. What do you got for us here, Jesse?
Well, Ross, I'm a big Zach Gallen fan as well. And with the price 125, everybody's going to be looking at Arizona with their ace on the hill. But not this guy, not me, no way, no how. For the last 2 years, Gallen's been a average to below average pitcher on the road. I just can't ignore the splits. 3-0 at home, 0.53 ERA, 0-2 on the road with an ERA over 6. And I know what everybody's going to say is small sample size, but all of last year on the road, 5-6 with a 4.42 ERA. He has not pitched as well on the road as he has at home. Cincinnati is not an easy place to pitch. We're expecting a potential rain delay here, which could mess with the starting pitchers. So I'm going to look at the total. I'm going to look at the total for the first half because I'm not sold on either of these two guys in this particular spot. I mean, I'm 100% sold on Zach Gallen in Arizona, just not on the road, and especially in Cincinnati. So over 4.5. Frankie Montas struggling and not that sharp so far, and he's coming off an injury, so not looking good for the Reds pitcher either. I think 4.5 is a rather low number in a hitter's park, all things considered.
Yeah, it is a hitter's park. There's no two ways about it. It's mind-boggling, Jesse, about those splits you just mentioned. Is Arizona is actually that's considered a hitter's park as well, and yet he's thrived in those types of situations at home for whatever reason. And he goes on the road, and like you said, wasn't always the case, but showing a tendency over the last 2 seasons now, or 1+ seasons anyway, where he's nowhere near as effective on the road. Sean, your take here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we see splits with guys pitch better at home than on the road. I don't mind a 4.5 here. Maybe also Arizona team total over here. You have Montes coming off the injured list. He got drilled in the arm. His last start, 2 innings, 5 runs versus the Mariners. So not a good outing. And the start before that, he had given up he went 2 innings or 2/3 innings, got hit. The start before that, Seattle got him for the 5 runs there. So not pitching all that well. And a guy's first start off injured list, I don't want anything to do with them. Give me Arizona here. They're hot too. They won 3 in a row. I'll take Gallen. Granted, not as great at home, but you put up those kind of numbers, you're automatically Hall of Fame type guy if you do that in every ballpark. So
yeah, he's a proven pitcher. He's a proven quality pitcher. There's no two ways about it. And look, Jesse mentioned his ERA on the road last year was in the high 4s. That's not, put it this way. Other pitchers, you could say, okay, we could use him in a 4 or 5 slot in the rotation, and we could live with that ERA. With a guy like Zach Gallen, who's supposed to be your ace, you want better numbers on the road when it comes to that. But at the same time, it's not like this has been going on for quite a long time now.
This is, like Jess said, it might rain here. It might be a little cooler than it should be in the Great American Ballpark. Reds have lost 5 in a row. They just got outscored 16-2. Oh, come on, they're not hitting the ball well. This could be a good, not pump up his stats, make him feel better start, but it's a good spot for him versus a struggling team right now. So
all right, so Jesse likes Arizona and Cincinnati to go over 4.5 as a first 5 inning bet or first half bet, whatever way you want to term that is. So there you have it. And Sean, his refresher on him is he's on the Astros and the Yankees under 8.5. He's looking for a pitcher's duel between Justin Verlander and Luis Gil from the Yankees. All right, let me get to my game, and that's St. Louis hosting the New York Mets. That game goes at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time tonight. The Mets, they've struggled offensively up until the last few games. They've sort of shown a little life. However, they are 7-2 to the over in their last 9 when the total is 8 or greater. And those 9 games have averaged 12.3 runs per game combined between the two teams, the Mets and their opponents. Like I said, they're starting to come on a little bit offensively. They scored 4 runs last night. They scored 6 runs or more in 3 of their previous 4 games up until last night. Jose Butto gets the start for the New York Mets. He's looked good at times this year, but what sticks out to me is his one start against St. Louis at Citi Field, which we're talking about hitters' parks. This Citi Field is notoriously a pitcher's park. And in that outing against St. Louis, he allowed 4 earned runs in 5 innings, including 2 home runs and 3 walks. So he wasn't sharp whatsoever. The Mets bullpen on the road has been much different than at home. And specifically speaking, their whip is 148 as a staff on the road. And, I talk about whip a lot, folks. It's walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. And my cutoff mark for a good whip is somewhere around 135. When it gets into 140, I start to get a little quivery. And when it approaches 150 and above, it's definitely not good. And a lot of they can attribute that high whip more to the point that they're control issues. They've walked 39 hitters in 59 innings. Not a very good walk to innings pitch ratio. Miles Mikolas gets the start for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he's 3 starts against the Mets last year, and 2 last year and 1 this year. An 8.27 ERA and a 1.53 WHIP in those outings, allowing 4 home runs and 16 in the 3rd innings pitched. So this is a guy who he started against the Mets earlier this year, wasn't sharp. His last 3 starts, he's given up 5 home runs and 16 in the 3rd, so he's been prone to giving up the long ball. And the St. Louis bullpen over their last 7 games has a 4.87 ERA. Their whip's okay, but they're allowing, again, like Mikolas, they're allowing a long ball. 4 home runs and 24 innings pitched over the last 7 for St. Louis relievers. And for those of you who are avid followers of baseball know, even though it seems like a good ratio, 1 home run per 6 innings pitched, that's not considered a good ratio when you're talking about bullpens. It's okay with starting pitchers, you can get away with it. But when your bullpen's giving up that many home runs per innings pitched, it's concerning. So I'm going to go Mets St. Louis over the total of 8.5, Jesse.
Yeah, I looked at this as well, Ross, and I saw the same thing that you saw. Also, the weather conditions appeared to favor the hitters today at St. Louis and Mikolas. And I mean, both starting pitchers have recent starts against the opposing lineups. So there's that familiarity with the opposing lineups as well. In recent days, that's another thing I like is when you come off a series against a team, and then a week later you're facing the same starter again. I think that gives an advantage to the hitters.
Yeah, and especially if that starter didn't have success in that previous start a week ago, which neither one of actually these guys were the starting pitchers in that matchup we're referring to on April 26th at Citi Field, and neither of them was effective in that start. Sean?
I am when a guy gives up like Butto 2 homers, 4 hits, short innings, I'd like to come back on him the next game when it's like the kind of like the follow-up start. Like sometimes you get those home and home type series. Now this is you got a little week and a half, 2 weeks in between. So it's kind of not loving it all that much, but I agree. I'm not a Mikolas guy. I think the guy's good for 4 runs most of the time, no matter where he's pitching. Butto is a young guy. Nice starts, but again, 4 innings, not that deep. 5 innings. You mentioned a bullpen. I'll go over here with you. I'm not loving the Cards team this year, but these are two mediocre clubs, and when mediocrity gets together, you usually see some ugliness. So why can't this game be a nice 6-4 type of affair here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's two clubs that for the better part of the season have struggled offensively, you know.
Yep.
But again, we're looking at a one-game situation, and we're looking at who the starting pitchers are, and we're looking at two bullpens that have had their struggles. The Mets being on the road, they've struggled. But if you look at their overall numbers, the Mets bullpen, it's pretty good. But if you look at, like I said, that WHIP is I pay more attention, Jesse, to WHIP than I do ERA. And I'm interested to hear you guys' thoughts on that, because to me, it's a true indicator. You could have a good ERA, okay, but if your WHIP is like in the 150s or higher, it's just a matter of time before they catch up to you, because that, to me, that means a pitcher's been getting out of a lot of jams and has been lucky for the most part. And if he continues to pitch that way, it's just a matter of time before the runs from the opposition start coming in bucket loads. So anyway, your thoughts, Jess?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You got to. I mean, I look at ERA and I think good ERA is nice to see, but if a decent WHIP doesn't come along with it, if you have a WHIP can tell you that there's something to dig a little deeper and something to be concerned about, and it's certainly something I pay attention to. It's also an indicator of some regression. You got a guy. Let's face it, this time of year, there's a ton of guys in the majors right now that have these sub-1 ERAs. Probably none of them. There's probably not going to be any pitchers that finish the season with an ERA under 2. If there is, it'll be one guy. So which ones are going to regress and which ones are going to regress the most? Probably the guys that are putting guys on base. So
yeah. And then there's the opposite side of the coin, Sean, with a guy like Mikolas, whose ERA is over 5, but his WHIP is very good. And when that happens, all you need to do is look at how many home runs he's given up, because that will be again, it should be when you see a guy over 5, with a good sample size as far as their ERA, and I'm talking about a starter, and then you see their WHIP like in the 110s to 120s. I can almost rest assured, folks, you're going to look at their performance line and see they've given up a bit too many home runs per innings pitch. Sean?
Yeah, I like WHIP and batting average against before I jump into the ERA. Like, yeah, I want a nice ERA, but sometimes as it is, are you getting lucky? Are you getting lucky with those kind of things? And where's the regression? Or you're just giving up. Sometimes you see it, it's like, wow, the guy just gives up like the bad home run, as you mentioned with Mikolas. Also, an ERA gets a little more boosted than it should be. So definitely things to look at. Again, this is, that's why you got to look at baseball as one game at a time for pitchers. And then as a whole for teams, some teams struggling, right? You get your 5-6 game losing streaks. You got a team like Minnesota runs off 10, 11 in a row. Take it day by day. It's a long season. You can find your spots.
Yeah, you get a team like Oakland that scores 20 runs, and then the next day gets shut out by the Marlins, the worst team in baseball. So that's baseball for you. You have to adjust. All right, Jesse, tell the folks what you have coming up tonight at picksandparleys.net, and anything else you'd like to share in terms of streaks or a refresher on your streaks.
All right, I got one baseball game, and I'm 16-6 with my last 22 MLB picks, and I got the winner for both NBA games tonight, all in a package called my Mega Bucks 3-pack, and Chip Chirumbis probably wants me to pay him copyright for that. But,
I was just going to say that. Anyway, I think Chip could live with that. It's a compliment to him. Anyway, again, folks, I lost the last 2 nights in the NBA. I'm transparent as they come, but still 15-4. Last 19, 27-8, last 35, 38-17, the last 55 in the NBA. I got both NBA winning sides up right now at picksandparleys.net for you to grab it. And I'm back on the winning track tonight, guaranteed, folks. Sean, what do you got going on?
I got a 3-pack of MLB winners up for you on the bases. Go get it. 58% since May 1st. And it's a I don't know. What's there to say? It's a nice 3-pack of winners. Go get it.
There you go. Sean Higgs, Jesse Schule, Ross Benjamin. You can find us all over at picksandparleys.net. Jesse, there's a like button right underneath. What do you want them to do with that?
Smash that like button.
Smash that damn like button. It's just a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put into bringing you a quality podcast here and to making the big guy, Craig Trapp of Picks and Parlays .net, happy with our performance level. And again, folks, until the next time, which will be next Tuesday, when I'll be joined by these two cats right here, cool Jesse Schule, Mr. Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin. I'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless.